Hello. Welcome once again. It is Farmer Ben here, back for another challenge event, exciting challenge event action. This one, of course, let me go. Now, for people who watched my last video, it was a summon on the challenge event. This one is just going to be a little bit about the challenge event. I'm going to resist the awesome temptation to sing White Rabbit by Jefferson Airplane. I may fail on that score, but obviously it's Riddles of Wonderland, which of course relates to the Alice in Wonderland story, and thus the White Rabbit. One pill makes you larger, the other makes you small, but the ones your mother gives you don't do anything at all. Gosh, I got off to a bad start there. Started singing even before I realised. So here we are. This is rare, 15th on rare. Well, you know, I'm not going to argue with that. I may be able to improve my score. I may even be able to push for the top 10 on this. It's tough, and to be fair, the benefits I get from being in the top 10 are relatively small. I get Damascus, so compared to what I will get for, I guarantee that I'll be in the top 1,000, given where I am now. I gain a Damascus Blade, an Orb of Magic, and a Warm Cape are the main things that I would gain, and 3 event tokens and whatever. So not that, I may do it, but I may try and push, but I'm not that fussed. It'd be nice to be top 10 because I've never actually managed to be top 10. Epic, I haven't actually finished Epic yet, but I will be aiming. I'm not aiming for the top 500 this time. I did that last challenge event and I was exhausted. So this time around, I'm aiming for the top 5,000. I would hope to get there. Again, I'll miss out on the Mystic Rings and the challenge event tokens and the fine gloves. Never understood why some of my heroes need fine gloves, but there you go. They seem the rough and ready type. Fine gloves seems a little bit unnecessary, but there you go. Legendary, I will aim for. I'm not aiming for the top 100 for fairly obvious reasons. I will probably not aim for the top 1,000 even. I'll probably aim for the top 10,000, which should be sort of relatively straightforward. Again, as I say, the last challenge event exhausted me, and I'm a little bit short of battle items and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of this event, there are some new heroes who have appeared. Obviously, I have not summoned any of them. So to talk about how they are, well, we have the White Rabbit. The White Rabbit. I was always like, why did they do the Captain of Diamonds when the White Rabbit was the obvious choice of the characters from Alice in Wonderland? But there we go. Deals 280% damage to target nearby enemies. Yeah, reasonable. Target minus 34% to defense for 4 turns. The effect duration is reset if the target is healed. This effect can't be dispelled. Yeah, I guess that's all right. He's not exactly. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't strike me as being that amazing. A reasonable thing. Reasonable fight, not that excessive. I'll come back to Jabberwocky, so there's a reason I'll come back to Jabberwocky in a sec. The Shrubber, the Shrubber as in shrubbery. Oh no, go away, you ship, I don't care. The shrubbery, you must build us a shrubbery, said Nee. The Shrubber, actually Shrubber, I look at Shrubber. Come on. Show me this. Right. Shrubber. I looked at Shrubber's stats earlier on. I was actually pretty pleased. I thought this is quite a tough hero. Camouflage gets Taunt that prevents enemies from using special skills on the caster's allies for 4 turns. Well, that sounds awesome. Sorry, to stop someone using special skills. Caster gets plus 63% defense for 4 turns. That's a big defense boost. And the caster gets plus 74 defense against special turns for 4 turns. What I'm a bit unclear about is, presumably the special skills thing means that you can only cast it on Shrubber because he will stop everybody else and then boost himself. So defensively, he's great. Defensively, he's a really, really tough hero, or appears to be. Certainly would be a very, very useful one for raid tournaments and so on and so forth. So yeah, I like Shrubber. The last one I was going to come back to now, the Jabberwocky. Oh, the Jabberwocky. Right, so let's have a look at the Jabberwocky. Now the Jabberwocky, I was like, what the frick? Jabberwocky isn't in Alice in Wonderland, and I was like, what? what are you talking about? Why Jabberwocky in here? And then I realised, of course, Jabberwocky is, the poem Jabberwocky is by Lewis Carroll, who obviously wrote Alice in Wonderland, and the two go together. And that is why, I mean, it's an odd choice. I would have thought there was, like, the Dormouse, and you've obviously got the Mad Hatter, the Dormouse. There's a few other characters in Alice in Wonderland I would have thought would have been a more obvious choice than Jabberwock. But never mind, the Jabberwocky is nice. There's obviously a Michael Palin film by the same name. But that's not what I'm going to dwell on here, because in a minute I will be reading the poem Jabberwock to the next level that I'm going to do. And before that, I will tell people to subscribe and like and everything else, because you'll probably just switch off because that's the obvious thing to do. Deal 300% damage to the enemies on the edges of the enemy formation. If there is only one enemy alive, the damage is doubled. So I'm assuming that means it hits the heroes in positions 1 and 5 and does a lot of damage to them. Enemies on the edges of the enemy formation receive 234 poison damage over 3 turns, and that cannot be dispelled. So damage over turn which cannot be dispelled makes him pretty mean. It means Rigard and Vivica cannot get rid of his attack. Yeah, reasonable enough. I mean, a few new heroes. I can't say any of them are ones that I'm that excited about. I mean, they've all got reasonable skills. I can see they could all be useful, but they are not ones that I'm sort of sitting here going, oh my gosh, I wish I had that guy. Because aside from anything else, as you know, I never ever managed to summon the posh heroes. So I'm not going to be trying to improve my score on rare at the minute. As I say, I may come back to it. I'm just not feeling inspired at the minute. So I'm going to look at number 10 on Epic. And whilst I'm doing number 10 on Epic, I will be reading the poem Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. Because actually, do you know what? I work as some of you may have mentioned in videos. I do work as a teacher, and one of the things which came up was using the poem to talk about nouns, verbs, and adjectives, because it has got some really interesting adjectives, nouns, and verbs. I mean, they're all nonsense words, but they are very cleverly used. Now, before I go on to do this and sort of show my my raiding, my challenge event techniques and whatever else, I will just say, please remember to subscribe, remember to like, remember to make any comments and whatever else, because quite frankly, I can fully understand that there may be some people who are not in the mood to listen to Lewis Carroll poetry who may switch off around now. However, I would urge you to stick with it, because it is a fantastic poem, and if you've never actually heard the poem Jabberwocky, it is truly... it's a masterpiece of nonsense poetry. It makes no sense really, but it's brilliant. It makes no sense, but we all know what it means. It's very clever. Anyway, sorry, I do digress. So here we are. You'll see that as ever I've gone for a sort of mixture. Now realistically, the 4-star events tend to be dominated by people who have got Guardian. Is it Falcon I want to say? Falcon or Jackal, whichever it is. Whichever one, go away, YouTube. Yeah, here he is. Not the Barbarian Maulers. Here we are. Guardian Falcon. Yeah, he's always going to be the key. I would be amazed. Yeah, he's in the top 1, top 2, top 3, top 4. No, I don't have him. Obviously, top 5. It makes such a difference. Top 6, top 7, top 8. I'm guessing. Yeah, top 8. Top 9 guarantee, yeah. So you can see how important he is, and I don't have him. It's really tough to get the mega high scores without him. That's the top 11 teams all have him in, and this is the first one that doesn't, although they've got Jackal. They've also got a yellow route. I wouldn't be surprised if they had him as well. They just haven't used him, or like not on the last one they did. Oh, he's not on this team. Apparently, there you go. So you can see that the really high scores do rely on. He is such a booster to it, and I haven't got him. And so either way, one way or another, I'm not aiming for top. Well, I was never aiming for top 10, not even top 100, or even top 500 this time. But never mind. Anyway, so without further ado, we go to level 10. Just going to be playing it quietly without explaining what I'm doing, because I will be reading the words of the poem, which is a fantastic poem. Okay, so before I start, you'll see that I've gone with Wilbur, very helpful, Boltus, Cullen, Khalil, and Wukong. You could mix it up a lot. Scarlet's very popular. I wish I'd actually got Scarlet leveled up. She's on my list of things to do, but we'll get there in the end. Battle items wise, I've gone with. I might swap this. Just swap this around. Just swap them for more mana potions. Anyway, there we go. So here we go. Right. So, dum. Oh, go away, battery saver. I've got my thing pressed down, so you should be charging anyway. In your own time. Here we go. Right then. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toads did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand. Long time long time the manxome foe he sought. So he rested he by the tumtum tree, and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whiffling through the tulgey wood, and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vorpal blade went snicker, snack. And he left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O fabulous day! Callooh, callay, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toads did gyre and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borogroves, and the mome raths outgrabe. There we go. So there we are. That is my my brief, I don't know what you call it, like recognition of classical random English poetry, nonsense poetry. Beautiful it is. Anyway, you'll see that on this particular event, obviously this is not going to be a top scoring round. I will almost certainly play it again, even though I'm not like aiming for a super high score. There's no way I'll be taking this one to the bank. This is the throwaway score. I've just not really had the screens. Sadly, not even as far as I can tell, to get the really mega high scores, you need amazing screens. You need the screens to be on your side. A lot of the players that are in the top 5, 10, 100, whatever, have basically replayed the same levels over and over and over and over and over and over again until they get that perfect screen. And then they go for it. And that's why, it's really heavy on like world energy and so on and so forth. Now, on this particular occasion, I haven't done that. I've done it a little bit to a fair extent on Rare, but I'm not doing it on Epic because, as I say, I did it last time. It did, I got there in the end. I got to what I wanted, and it was, dare I say it, more or less exhausting to get there. You'll see that the order I've fired off my heroes, so Bold Tusk first, then Wilbur, then Wukong. Wukong makes people miss, although his boost is phenomenal, which is why he's worth having. Wilbur, so Bold Tusk boosts the attack, Wilbur lowers the defense, and then Wukong boosts the attack like a dozen times. But you always want Wukong to go last, and there you can see how much damage Wukong can do. Those red tiles did a shed load of damage because of the boosts that were in place, as well as the lowering of the defense by Wilbur. So that is, particularly the end screen there was particularly good. The rest of it wasn't amazing, basically. But there we go. So that is it. At this point, I will be saying au revoir, bienvenue, arrivederci. Remember to like, subscribe, and everything else. I hope this video has had some value, aside from teaching people about what is, to me, is still one of the greatest poems ever written. Just to write a nonsense poem is so effective because, and like I say, from an English teacher's, from a teacher's point of view, I'm not an English teacher, but I am a primary school teacher, so I often do teach English. You've got your verbs in there and your adjectives and whatever else, and because they're nonsense words, you have to sort of try and teach the children. So, like, and the mome raths outgrabe. Well, the implication is that raths is the noun, that's the creature. Mome is the adjective, as in, like black rats or whatever it is. And outgrabe, therefore, is the verb, because whatever the mome raths are doing outgrabe, there's your verb. And you can sort of talk to, I mean, this is the upper end of primary school, certainly, but you can talk to them about, oh, what does this verb mean? What does this mean? Would this be a verb, a noun, an adjective? Get to really think. So it's a lovely poem. Anyway, I do digress, as I regularly do. Thank you for watching. It's been deeply emotional. May death come swiftly to your enemies. This is Farmer Ben saying, have fun, take care of yourselves, good night.